Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and I think Andy's in here sweating with me.
Oh my God, did you not see the fog on my glasses after I came in from my car?
I can't wait till we're through the summer and we don't have to hear you bitch about the heat at the beginning of every episode, Andy.
Listen, until we get out of the South, it's not going to stop.
It's not going to stop.
Get me to the West Coast again, baby.
But guys, we're glad you're here with us and in your comfortable air conditioning wherever you are.
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't matter for you. So quit bitching, Andy. Quit bringing down the mood. But guys, before we get into this episode that is really going to bring down the mood, I got to remind you guys that you can catch new episodes early and ad-free on Patreon, patreon.com/truecrimeguys for just $3 a month. And if you bump up to that $6 tier, that special $6 tier, you can get access to everything we have ever created. So much content. So you're all caught up. It's like, oh, where's the first 200 episodes? All there. All these past shows that we mentioned throughout the episode, they're all there. Mm-hmm. They're all there. The whole thing. Again, that's patreon.com/truecrimeguys. And we also have a few shows available on the free network like Strange and Unexplained, Sandu Stories, and Cryptic Soup, wherever you listen to podcasts. But today, we are talking Jason Sweeney. Brutal
yes, we
case,
are,
Andy.
Michael.
Brutal. Warning right now, guys. Warning, violence against children, by children, all the children.
It's like these are, that's the whole thing
Teenagers.
about this case. Like these are children. God.
They are. 16, 17-year-olds.
15.
That's right. Jason Sweeney was a 16-year-old who was brutally murdered by his girlfriend, Justina Morely, and his own friends, Edward Batzig, Dominec Coia, and Nicholas Coia. And like I said, this is a very violent episode, so you guys strap in. This horrible crime took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in a little suburb, or I guess a neighborhood called Fishtown.
Yeah, Fishtown.
Yeah. There's actually a graphic novel inspired by this.
It sounds like it should be. So
yeah, it's heavily inspired. I think it's written by a man named Kevin Colden, and all he did really, as far as I can tell, was change the names.
Yeah,
I mean he might have exaggerated a little bit on some of the scenes and whatnot. I've just flipped through the sample photos on Google. I'm going to order it. It's on order. I can't wait to get it, but I'll let you guys know, and maybe I'll do another little bonus content or something on Patreon with a review of that graphic novel, but it's actually won some awards.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy story in itself. So, Andy, roll that intro. Let's get into it.
Will do.
He was on his way to meet her. He didn't know what to say. He wasn't gonna mess this up. He just got paid. She was on her way to meet him. She knew just what to say. This wasn't her first rodeo. He just got paid. He just got hands like these. It's like placing bets. Welcome to Fishtown, don't get caught in the nets. With friends like these, you don't get what you see. There's sharks in Fishtown, they just look like teens. They stalked him in the shadows, it had to be today. Just before the drugs wear off, their conscience fades away. And everything that's left is sure to find a way to make this feeling last just one more day. Just one more friends like these, it's like placing bets. Welcome to Fishtown, don't get caught in the nets. With friends like these, you don't get what you see. There's sharks in Fishtown, they just look like teenagers.
All right, so Jason Kill Sweeney was born on July 29th, 1986 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Dawn and Paul. His mother, Dawn, worked as a bank teller, and Paul ran a small construction company. They lived in an area called Fishtown. And in fourth grade, Jason met a kid named Edward Batzig Jr.
That
Now,
sounds like a name of like a punk rocker.
It does.
That should be like the punk rock singer of some
Well, in
trashy
fourth
hardcore
grade,
band.
in fourth grade, I'm sure he was pretty punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty punk for fourth grade. But his parents did not approve.
Oh,
much like a lot
shocking.
of my punk friends in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dawn and Paul were not fans of Edward, and they thought he was a pretty bad influence. I mean, mainly because he was caught breaking into houses and was caught with drugs like, weed and heroin in fourth grade. Okay.
I think the heroin started a little bit later, but I think he had some weed pretty early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a fourth grader with some heroin. I feel like that's good. There's a much bigger problem when you're just like, what the fuck? Okay, yeah, GSS, we're going now.
It's 10 years old, man.
Yeah.
It's actually not. It's kind of par for the course.
Oh God.
For this story. But like a lot of us do in elementary school, middle school, Jason ignored his parents and kept on being friends with Edward. And then he also started hanging out with two other kids that I'm sure his parents weren't fans of. These friends, I'm using that with strong quotes, were two brothers, 16-year-old Nicholas and 17-year-old Dominec Coia. However, at some point, probably not long before the murder, these two kind of stopped being friends with Jason. I guess it kind of became a crowd, right? I think these guys were more interested in being friends with Edward.
Yeah.
More so, and not so happy with Jason hanging around for whatever reason. I might be overstepping there, but that's kind of the vibe I got.
And there's also a young girl who gets involved with multiple people in this group.
Yes, speaking
who,
of,
starts kind of shuffling some things around.
Yes, she does. Great timing, Andy. Jason probably didn't notice the Coia brothers kind of pulling away because he had his mind on other things, like a girl named Justina Morely. The two actually started seeing each other, and Jason thought Justina was sweet. However, Justina was not the person she was pretending to be.
She was only 15 years old, by the way, and they would only been seeing each other for like a week.
Yeah.
And at that point, they were like, "Yeah, we're boyfriend and girlfriend now."
Exactly.
And even when they, spoiler alert, when they interview her, she's like, "I wasn't his girlfriend."
Yeah, exactly. No, you weren't.
No, you weren't.
you weren't.
Obviously.
But on May 30th, 2003, Memorial Day weekend, Jason figures out exactly who Justina was. He left his house to meet with Justina that afternoon for a date. They walked around town for a little while and talked. Jason got the two of them sodas at a nearby store. And then they decided to head over to a place they called the Trails, which is a wooded area near the Delaware River that teens would often, hang out at, Andy.
Yeah.
If you catch my drift.
Apparently, she, from what I've already heard, like she directly offered him sex. Like, come to this area. Like,
she was very experienced in hanging out at the Trails.
She was like, "Come here, we can have sex here."
Yeah,
and he's like a 16-year-old boy, like, "All right, okay,
okay,
bet."
Yeah. But when Jason failed to come home later that evening, his parents began to get really worried because that just wasn't like him. His mother was repeatedly calling Jason with no answer, so they reported him missing that night. The next day, two teens were hanging out walking at the Trails when they came across a lot of blood. The two boys thought that was odd, but they thought maybe it belonged to an animal. That was until they found a body beyond recognition, covered in blood, with the pants around the ankles, no shirt, and the face was smashed in. They immediately called 911, and investigators showed up right away. Like I said, the face was beaten beyond recognition. Pieces of the face, the skin, and the teeth were missing completely.
Yeah, there was the
It's
amount
brutal.
of damage. I mean, this was just a
gonna
John
find out
Doe.
why.
This was just a John Doe for them. They're like, this is just a body.
Exactly. There was nothing to go on. The body had no cash, no ID. The pockets were turned inside out. There was a bloody rock nearby, a bloody hatchet as well, and there was dirt caked under the nails, as if he had been grabbing at the ground.
Oh, and that bloody rock, by the way, it's like a basketball size. Like
it's massive.
It's like a big, almost boulder. Like you can barely pick it up. It's so big. So
it's
not
a crushing
like
rock.
Yeah, it's not like a little rock they held in their hand.
Exactly. Now the ME noticed that the body was fresh enough for it to have happened in the last 24 hours. There was also a laceration on the hand that had apparently already started to heal. But other than that, the skull was entirely destroyed on the right side, and every single bone in the face and skull was broken except for the left cheekbone.
God. Yeah. Okay.
Detective Richard Reinhold was going through missing persons record to see if there was any mention of someone with a scar on their hand that had been reported missing. Finally, he came across something that mentioned an identifying mark as a scab on the arm, where 24 hours before, a mother had called in about her missing son. So the police quickly connected the dots and went to visit the Sweeneys at home. They found out Jason Sweeney worked construction and had recently gotten a cut across his hand. This is what the family used to identify Jason. That's all they had.
Mm-hmm.
The family was adamant on seeing Jason. They also were wanting to have an open casket funeral, but they were told that it would take over a year to restore him.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like I'm almost impressed that they wanted him restored in an open casket funeral. It's almost like you want...
I'm impressed that it's possible.
It's like you would almost either want, like, no, show what they did to my boy, like, show, like, and if you remember the Emmett Till case, you know, reading about that in school where the mother did that, she was like, no, don't do anything, leave him exactly how they found him. I want them to see what they did to my boy.
Yeah.
And it's like, to say that we want him put back together and then do an open casket funeral, it's just like, oh, that's a lot for what happened to him.
Yeah,
like
but you got to remember, this is right after.
Yeah,
you know, they're
just...
still in denial about, oh, man, it's brutal. The authorities told the family that his ID was missing and that Jason's pockets were also emptied. The Sweeneys thought that, well, maybe this was a robbery because they told police that on that Friday, Jason just got paid and he probably had about $500 with him. So the next step was to try and find a list of people to last see Jason alive. Instantly, his family told the authorities about how he was on a date the night before with his first ever girlfriend, Justina. So detectives head that way. When they told Justina that Jason was murdered, she didn't seem surprised. And, you know, obviously this raised some suspicions. They asked her when she last saw Jason alive and where they were. She told police she saw him Friday, but he didn't come with her and her friends to a party in the woods that night. He did not. So the police obtained Justina's phone records and noted that she didn't contact Jason at all that night for any reason, which was suspicious.
Yeah, why aren't you, like, if he's supposed to come to this party, why aren't you looking for him? Why aren't you texting him?
Yeah.
Why aren't you calling him?
Yeah,
It's still 2003.
Exactly.
I mean, I know texts were expensive back then, but still.
Yeah. But the police start wondering who these friends are. So she names Edward, Nicholas, and Dominec. The police then decide, let's bring them in for questions as well, especially Edward, since he was allegedly Jason's best friend.
Oh, best friend? Forever?
Yeah. The authorities do the same tactic to Edward that they did on Justina. They tell him that Jason was murdered just to see the reaction. And similar to Justina, there wasn't one. And when they asked Edward who could have done it, he told them he had no idea because everyone loved Jason. He was just that kind of guy.
God, these teenagers become more and more sickening as the story goes on.
Oh, it's brutal. Edward gave an alibi saying that he was waiting for Jason at the party in the woods, but he never showed up. He then repeated the same story as Justina, which was starting to sound a little rehearsed.
Mm-hmm.
And as luck, or fear, would have it, just as police were wrapping up interviews, they got a phone call from Paul, Jason's dad, who said Edward and Nicholas showed up at their house and were asking questions if, you know, like, did the cops find anything? Do they have any leads?
Any suspects? Are they? Do you guys know who they're looking at?
Paul said that they were quite eager and acting pretty weird. And Paul ended up getting confrontational with them due to their behavior. And he was convinced that they knew something about Jason. So the police bring in the Coia brothers. Nicholas was first. And he again repeated the same story this time. However, he does add something new to the story. Nicholas admits that he recently had sex with Justina.
Oh, okay. Like I said,
just add that in there.
Well, I mean, just like
a little humble brag.
Little humble. But by the way, I mean, you know, I was supposed to meet Justina. By the way, hit that. Like just some fucking teenage little slight brag.
Apparently, him and Dominec, they told the exact same story because Dominec, he repeated the same story that everyone else told, and he said he also recently had sexual relations with Justina.
Okay, Justina.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Not trying to slut shame anybody here, but okay, Justina, you're 15.
I
Calm
could just
down
see
a little
Nicholas
bit.
on the outside. You're not supposed to say the same part with that part. God, dude.
I know this is a bad reference, but I feel like it's that scene from Hot Rod where it's like, I'm Rod, I like to party. And it's like, hi, I'm Kevin, I like to party.
No.
No, see, I said that. You say something else.
You said, damn it. Yeah. Way to go, Dominic. You ruined it. But all in all, we got 4 kids who were all claiming innocence and saying they had no idea what happened or who could have done it.
Well, not innocence, but
Yeah. But the police weren't done with them just yet. Justina and her mother, they got taken into the homicide unit where the police fake her out and they tell her, just calling her bluff, that they knew her story was a lie.
yeah, they're just like, so that was bullshit, huh? You want to know?
Yep.
You want to tell us what happened?
You want to really tell us?
Just like a fucking teenage girl attitude at this point, too.
Right. Yeah, so she starts crying. She starts getting visibly upset. And the authorities tell her, like, look, if you rat on them, we'll help you out. Simple as that. So Justina says there was talk that Edward and the Coia brothers had been conspiring to steal Jason's paycheck, and it would be easier to just rob him. So the plan was for Justina to pretend to like Jason, to eventually lure him to the trails with the promise of sex, since Jason was still a virgin. They used sex as the bait also because Jason would be nude. He'd be vulnerable, and his pants would be around his ankles, making it hard for him to run. And once they got there, the boys would mug him and then leave with the cash.
That's a smooth story. Why
That's
didn't that just happen?
Right?
Okay.
Though they supposedly never planned to hurt Jason at all. She said, while there, what really happened was they started making out, getting undressed, and the boys were hiding in a bush nearby, putting on latex gloves and suiting up with rocks, a hammer, and a hatchet. She said when she saw the weapons, she started to panic and realized that they were going to hurt Jason, but she was too scared to do anything about it.
Okay, I'm
So
sure.
here's the new story.
New
okay?
story.
So this is the new story. So they bring all 4 kids back in for questioning to get the story straight. They told the 3 boys that they knew the truth, thanks to Justina, and that they were all going to be charged with murder. Edward was the first to crack. He right away says he did it. He showed zero regret. He tells authorities that he helped murder his best friend just to impress Justina. He tells authorities that he ambushed him and attacked Jason first, and he insisted on it. Edward hit him with the hatchet 4 to 5 times in the head, and those blows the coroner noted as being 2 to 3 inches deep.
Yeah, like you're using the hatchet. Like you're not using the flat side of it.
No. Edward, go ahead.
I was going to say another weird thing that not weird, but like the cops were talking about, like when they were interviewing Justina, one of the cops said that she was so cold once it came out, like once the truth starts coming out, she switches to just being cold.
They all kind of do.
Like she starts being where she's like, I don't feel any regret. Like they even talk about like one of the cops.
It's like they were all trying to impress each other at that point.
Like she even like wrote a letter at some point where she's like, I don't regret anything. She's like,
I got some
about that.
I got some pieces of that letter.
Like
yeah.
this girl turns into like she literally switches into just a dark, cold, like calculated person. And it's like, holy shit, you're 15? Fuck.
Yeah. She's got some demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
She is a demon.
But Edward said Jason started begging for his life, but we just kept hitting him. He also mentioned that Jason looked at him during the beating and said, please stop, I'm bleeding. This story portrayed that Edward ambushed Jason first with a hatchet, followed by the Coias taking turns attacking him with a hammer and a rock, mostly on his head and face, until he was dead. The teens ended the bloody event by dropping a boulder on the right side of his head. Jason's face and skull were destroyed beyond any recognition. Once it was over, the 4 teens stole a $500 paycheck from Jason, which they used to buy weed, heroin, and Xanax. The Coia brothers confirmed the story and confessed. Dominec said that they planned the murder days before while listening to the Beatles song Helter Skelter over 40 times, which naturally prompted news coverage to draw a parallel to the Manson family murders.
Oh, look at
Like,
these
oh,
fucking
wow.
edgy fucking teens.
Right.
We're going to look at Manson and we're going to make our... fuck off, you goddamn edgelords.
They were just a bunch of teens that just were bad influences on each other, dude, and it just spiraled out of control. Mm-hmm. Dominec added another detail, though, in his second interview. The 4 teens admitted to being proud and sharing a group hug at the trails before they split up the money. The authorities started asking if there was drugs or alcohol involved, but everyone admitted to being sober, and they wanted Jason to suffer. Dude, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, they just keep explaining it, and when the more they explain,
Well,
the worse they make it sound. They never try to make it sound like, well, we did this because we had to, and like they all just explain like, yeah, because we wanted to fucking take his paycheck.
Exactly. I do believe that they were sober. Also, I believe that the drug addiction between these kids, these four, is downplayed a lot.
Oh yeah,
I really think these kids are already dependent on one or more of these substances. And that's what drove them to this.
Yeah, it's just $500
like
to get weed, drug, heroin, and alcohol.
Exactly. And like I said, everyone admitted to being sober. Yeah, they were, and they didn't want to be.
Yeah, they wanted
That's
to
why
get
they went to
$500.
Exactly. The Coia brothers said that they went to a friend's house afterwards to wash up and get the blood off them. Nicholas also mentions that Justina helped in the murder. So, of course, the police go back to Justina this time. And she says she finally admits to knowing more. She admitted that she had been sleeping with Edward and both Coia brothers for heroin and leading them all on. Justina mentioned how Edward took the first blow. Jason staggered and realized he was bleeding, so he started to panic. He went to run, and Dominec jumped on him, and they all started to attack him while he begged for them to stop. Justina said Jason's last words were, "You set me up," while looking directly at Justina.
Yeah, like I said, she was so cold at this point. When they come back in there, she is just like, yeah, this is what happened. I don't fucking care. She's like, yeah, fucking, I'm not regretting anything.
I know. It's like I said, it's like they were all embolstered by each other, and they didn't want to, act like a bitch, quote unquote, in front of the cops, in front of their friends. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a terrible situation.
Because I was like, well, when you're reading about it, you think about teenagers, and so many teenagers try to immediately, they try to like shift the blame. They try to get out of trouble. They try to justify anything they've done with like their small world beliefs or whatever. These kids don't. Like,
no.
These all four of these teenagers are just like, yeah, I killed him. Like, and just fucking, they're like, yeah, what of it? Like, there no excuses. And they're like, well, this is why. I'm like, that's not an excuse.
No.
Like, well, it's why I did it.
Awful, dude. Dominec Coia, Nicholas Coia, and Edward Batzig Jr. were all charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, robbery, and possessing an instrument of crime. All were tried together as adults instead of juveniles due to the graphic nature of the murder, as they should be. Prosecutors could seek the death penalty for Edward and Nicholas, but prosecutors did plan, or they couldn't seek the death penalty for Edward and Nicholas, but they did plan to seek it against Dominec since he was the oldest. Even the detectives supported the death penalty in this case.
Yeah, I believe that.
However, during the trial, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Roper v. Simmons that defendants under the age of 18 could not be executed, period. So as a result, Dominec Coia, who was 14 days away from his 18th birthday at the time, could not receive the death penalty.
At the time of the crime.
The time of the crime, yes.
Yeah, so he was almost 18 when he
2
did
weeks.
this. Yeah.
You don't think that weighed on the timing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it definitely did. So therefore now, all three boys face mandatory life sentences without parole if convicted of first-degree murder. The Coia brothers and Edward were convicted on charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy, robbery, and possession of instrument of crime, everything. Convicted of everything. I mean, but like Andy said, they didn't even try to argue it. Their lawyers have got to be like, why did you say that?
Shut up.
They're literally,
shut up.
Just shut up.
Shut up. Just stop talking.
You will not take a
Shut
stand. Yeah, it was terrible. And in May of 2005, each one was sentenced to mandatory life in prison without parole for murder, plus 22 and a half to 45 years for conspiracy, robbery, and possessing an instrument of crime.
Just one of those, you're not getting the fuck out sentences.
Exactly. Just that one extra.
Just life and then some,
and
motherfucker.
then some.
Bam.
So during the trial, there was a lot of focus on Justina, naturally. However, her lawyers tried desperately to get a sympathy vote by sharing her oh-so-tragic life story. Justina was expelled from public school in the 8th grade because she brought pocket knives in her purse.
2 of them.
She repeated 8th grade at the private Holy Name of Jesus Catholic School in Fishtown. And lawyers claim Justina started smoking marijuana at the age of 10 and shortly thereafter started taking prescription pills and snorting cocaine. Her mother, April Frederick, said her daughter started cutting her wrist at the age of 10. So see, they're just bringing in all this. Just look how bad her life is. Okay, but you still can't kill people.
Yeah, you're
okay.
Yeah, okay, your life is hard, and apparently, Mom not doing a great
Yeah,
job here.
not doing so hot.
So your life is hard. So
There's a DSS agent waiting for you outside.
Yeah, we're gonna. Your court is. You realize you're in the next round, right? Like,
Right.
You can just stay in.
Just
sit
stay
down.
in here.
Just stay in here. You're next up.
But Justina was hospitalized for threatening suicide and self-mutilation the year before, in 2002. She was once admitted to Friends Hospital for cutting her wrists, knees, and thighs, taking pills, and displaying a suicide poem that she attached to her bedroom door. All the doctors advised that Justina needed help and needed to stay hospitalized, but her mother took her out and ignored the doctors because Justina had threatened that if she stayed in the hospital, she would kill herself.
Okay, Mom. Still, I feel like the doctors may have had a better hold on that than you did.
Definitely. Justina's attorneys explained to the judge that the girl had suffered enough to at least get her a juvenile court trial, but the judge ordered her to be tried as an adult. Justina pled guilty to third-degree murder in exchange for her testimony against other defendants and was sentenced to 17 and a half to 35 years in prison.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was already 17 years ago.
Yeah,
So
she's out. Yeah.
this bitch is out.
During the trial, Joshua Stab, a friend of Dominec Coia, said the group bragged about their plan to kill Sweeney by using Justina Morely as bait. The prosecutor asked Stab about the teen's demeanor after the killing. He said they seemed fine, in a way, happy. Even during the preliminary hearing, the four teens were seen smiling and laughing, and they still weren't taking the event seriously. This is some jailhouse letters that Andy was referring to earlier. These were read during the trial to better understand, the relationship between the defendants, if you will. Defense counsel for the Coias and Edward argued that Justina was the instigator and led the boys to commit murder. So here's one of her writings to Dominec Coia. These are some little excerpts from an entire letter that she wrote Dominec. She says, "So you say I'm manipulative, and yes, I believe I am in ways. I'm persuasively manipulative, and I think I'm pretty good at it too. I enjoy dragging people along."
Fuck.
Then she says, "Tell me you don't enjoy these gullible humans. It's funny how easy it is to persuade them into lies."
Jesus Christ, girl. Are you trying to be as edgy as possible, or are
Yeah.
you really a fucking psychopath?
All right, well, here's a couple more good one-liners. "I'm a cold-blooded fucking death-worshipping bitch who survives by feeding off the weak and lonely. I lure them, and then I crush them."
Okay, yeah, you're a
Jesus.
fucking edgelord now.
Yeah, she's
That's
an edgelord.
edgelord shit.
Yep.
Not psychopath. That's I'm trying to be fucking tough. I'm a murderous, cold-blooded,
Right.
dead
Remember-
living bitch. Like,
Exactly, and she's out. Remember this. And
this was said as a 15-year-old.
Yeah, that's true. Here's the last one here. "I am guilty, but I still don't feel guilty for anything. I still enjoy my flashbacks. They give me comfort. I love them."
Fuck.
End quote. Wow, man. Like Andy said, though, 17 and a half years ago, that's a lot of time to sit and think about how much you want to be a Dark Lord.
Yeah, how much do you want to be a bloodthirsty, death-loving,
Yeah.
blood?
Take it easy there, Elizabeth Bathory.
Come on, bitch.
How you feel now?
All right, have you listened to enough Nine Inch Nails yet?
Right.
You feel better?
But on the stand, Justina testified that she did not feel remorse for the murder. She admitted she took pride in her actions, that the planning of the murder was exciting, and they were proud to accomplish it. The defense attorneys tried bringing up the fact that their clients were drug addicts that lacked the intent to kill. Their goal was to change the crime to a third-degree murder and somehow get the sentence to be less severe. But none of the teens showed any remorse for the murder. And there was also testimony in court where the teens made comments about murdering the entire Sweeney family. Paul Sweeney, the victim's father, addressed Dominec Coia directly in court, saying, "Look at me, Dominec. I know you think you have evil eyes, but mine are going to be staring back at you every night for the rest of your life." Coia responded, "I never thought I had evil eyes. But other than that, I'm cool." Because the judge asked him, they said, "Would you like to respond?" He said, "I never thought I had evil eyes. But other than that, I'm cool."
God,
Freaking
you are a
douche.
fucking douche.
Well, he later writes in a memoir that he had taken the wrong way, Andy. In 2013, Dominec wrote a memoir of his life and the murder titled Biological Juvenile. It was subsequently posted in PDF form on the website prisonfoundation.org. In the memoir, he actually does express remorse for his actions, explains why he didn't apologize during final trial, criticizes the law system in America, gives full context of what he did say at the trial and to detectives, and apologizes to both his family and the Sweeney family. He gave a different account of the murder. Dominec claimed that he panicked when Edward actually hit Jason and only participated when he feared him and his brother were getting caught.
Dude, you're the older brother
come
in
on,
this
dude.
situation. You're almost
No.
18 years old. You helped him instigate this whole thing. You
Yeah.
were giving this girl drugs. So
Yeah. So where is everyone now, Andy? Well, old Justina, as we alluded to, was released December 20th, 2020.
Ah, damn it.
Yeah, 2020. And she's currently on parole. Dominec is still in prison and is available to be a prison pen pal if you like.
Oh, really?
Nicholas and Edward also have life sentences that they are upholding. I guess they just blended into the prison life. I'm not sure about them.
I feel like they just kind of were like, yeah, this is where we belong.
Yeah, this is where we belong. But Paul and Dawn Sweeney set up the Jason Kill Sweeney Foundation to fund a full scholarship for the Valley Forge Military Academy and College, which was the school of Jason's dreams.
God, like I said, to remember the whole time that none of these kids are adult. Like, no one's an adult in this case. Not a single one is an adult. They are 15 to 17. And the fucking defendants, they just act like monsters. Like I said, the entire trial, all the testimony, all their responses, I'm like, Jesus, are you guys psychopaths or are you trying to be fucking edgy? And it does seem like some of them are trying to be fucking edgy at the time. Because like if Dominec really does express remorse, has grown over his time in jail, but it's just like, guys, really? What did you think this was going to accomplish? And I get you had a hard life, but come on.
Yeah, this was just ridiculous, dude. Like I said, it was just fire and gasoline. All these kids together in this situation, in this desperate, what they saw as a desperate need for money, for drugs, whatever it is. They just made the wrong decision, man. They're all trying to act badass afterwards. That's all it is. They really, at that time, when they're in this trial, I really don't think they can comprehend what they're in for.
No, not at all.
They have no fucking idea.
No, like we've talked about before, teenagers have a smaller worldview because they do not have the experience of time yet. They do not comprehend what real time is.
Yeah,
so it's like
you can't.
You can't until you actually have decades behind you, and you're like, oh shit, that's how long a decade is? Fuck.
Yep. It's almost how long I've been using Oh My Gaia.
Oh shit.
Almost a decade. That's right. Oh My Gaia is an innovative all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. Their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while still maintaining effectiveness. And guys, Oh My Gaia has a scent that you will love. They have vanilla. They have cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, coconut, dreamsicle, leather. Then we got some fall scents like lumberjack, fireside. Those would be great coming up. Also, true Crimepine. Fall's just around the corner, Andy. I know we're sweating now, but it's right there, man.
I know.
It's right there. And all we'll be left with is these beautiful pines. True Crimepines.
Forever pine.
That's right. And you guys can find all these lovely scents at ohmygaia.com, ohmygaia.com. And if you use the code word Crimepine, CRIMEPINE, no space, Crimepine, you can get 15% off your order. Again, that's at ohmygaia.com, ohmygaia.com. You guys will not regret it. Please check out Oh My Gaia, as well as truecrimeguys.com, where you can find access to everything we have. There's a link to Patreon there. There's a link to our new vinyl that's available. All kinds of good stuff. So again, truecrimeguys.com, ohmygaia.com, links to remember.
You will not regret it, guys.
That's right. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure you check out Patreon, patreon.com/truecrimeguys. Also, check us out on Spotify. Make sure wherever you're listening, you leave us a review. Leave a case suggestion if you'd like. You can hit us up on social media at truecrimeguys or truecrimeguys@gmail.com. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Andy, you got anything?
I do not. I got to pee. Let's go.
Oh, okay. All right, guys, we'll see you next week with a new True Crime Guys case. All right, keep on creeping.
Bye.